Things happening. Oh, you just leaving? No, we're starting. You just jump off the thing? All right. Whatever, dog. Whatever, dog. Okay. Do your thing. Do it. Go. Do it. Come on. Come on. Start. Any day now. Why does it take so long? Just... Yeah. Sit here, wait for the video to actually start doing its thing. It's only been started for 30 seconds. You can do it. Here we go. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the end of the world. This is Houston with a problem, and there's so many problems. Just an absolute, just metric butt ton of problems right now. And we're going to sort through them. So, the global market is shitting the bed. Why, you ask? Well, lots of reasons. But what seems to be the current catalyst at the moment are these things called yen carryovers. There's about $4 trillion, maybe more of them. And this has to do with sort of gaming arbitrage in the bond market for various nations as well as currencies. And so you go to Japan and you borrow just a shitload of money from Japan. Why? Because interest rates are artificially kept very, very low in Japan. So you're paying 1%, whatever. And then you come into the US markets and you play with that money with a whole bunch of stock. All right? So you now have, let's say, $10 billion. You buy a bunch of stock. And then Japanese yen all of a sudden takes a shit. So it's going to take a lot more yen to pay that back. And interest rates went up. So now you're paying more in interest rate in Japan than you were expecting, and the market is stagnating, which means you're losing money overall. So now these dudes have to sell all their stocks in the US, right? Bring that money back to Japan and pay off their bonds before they face default or foreclosure or whatever it is they're going to be facing. And the problem is that so many folks were late on the draw on this that they may not be able to get enough money out of selling their stocks in order to pay off their Japanese bonds, which everyone's afraid means the Japanese central bank will sell all of their U.S. bonds to cover the losses, bringing down the U.S. bond market. Whew. On top of that, we've got Iran looking to jump into things and start World War III with no help from various other players in the region. There has been diplomatic talks to calm them down, as it were. But Iran has basically gone on a tear and started arresting and imprisoning all sorts of different leaders in the military and police leadership, basically claiming everyone's a spy. And so they basically removed a huge portion of their leadership and knowledge base on the cusp of starting a war. So those things should balance each other out fantastically. We also have defense contractors going a little bonkers. Palantir, which is the world's biggest Bond villain, Peter Thiel's company, just rocketed after hours today. And what else am I going to talk about? Oh yeah, and the brokerages completely just screwed up. they 5 major brokerages, people could not log in to to trade today, which means people, could be realizing epic losses in their stocks as the market is tanking and they can't do anything about it. But amazingly, these same brokerages, their huge, giant Wall Street clients had no problem accessing the markets through them. So there's a weird little double standard going on there. And I think the SEC should really start paying attention to this stuff, because it's not the first time it's happened this summer. When things shit the bed, amazingly retail traders get locked out of their accounts. That does not... Once... is a fluke, twice starts to establish a pattern, and 3 times seems to be just a crime. And especially with Schwab, it's the 4th time this go around. And it appears Fidelity didn't have any cash for anybody, so if you had a bunch of cash in your account and you wanted to deposit it into your bank, they could not process those transactions today. So just Problems. EB says, I got 99 problems, but Houston weight ain't one. That's for sure. And guess what we also can do? This. Okay, turn that off, ding dong. Oh wait, Charity Tuesday was on. Silly Houston, you're about to screw everything up. Okay, so not just the market shitting the bed, gold's tanking. Bitcoin has dropped 20,000 in just a week, right? And while Bitcoin's shitting the bed as well, the U.S. government still has the opportunity to dump $14 billion in Bitcoin onto the market all at once and just crash the entire thing. Should, say, I don't know, Biden want to punish everyone who is fucking with him right now. Why not? Right? Be like, you know what? Let's just sell this stuff off. They could totally do that right now. Yeah. Ace Ventura, first time listener, can you please explain the universe? Thanks. Oh boy. So when a mommy universe and a daddy universe love each other very much, they create a singularity that then bursts onto the scene, and it's so hot that nothing but pure energy can exist. And then you have to wait for things to cool down before that pure energy can start to coalesce into matter as we know it. Some of it's antimatter, some of it's regular matter, and some of that stuff combines and disappears, and we just happen to have an excess of regular matter left behind. Those things, they're attractive once you get matter. Things like to pull other things in. Like gravity's all about hugging, right? So that matter likes to pull itself in and pull other pieces of matter in. As it does so, it starts to heat up again, and you get little stars going blink, 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 blink all over the place. And then to get enough stars, they have their own gravitational field. They start to form galaxies. They can form elliptical galaxies. They can form spiral galaxies. They can form irregular galaxies. Sort of just amorphous clouds of stars. Now, these stars, they aren't all the same size. Just like you and me. Some of us are tiny. Some of us are big. Some of us are different colors, right? Stars are the same way. They go from very teeny tiny little red stars that seem to last forever. Super fuel efficient. As far as we know, red stars never died. Mathematically, some of them can last for trillions of years. To really big, giant blue and violet stars that may only last a few million years before they explode into violent eruptions as their cores collapse in on themselves, causing more than 10% of all the matter in those giant stars to fuse at once into a huge supernova. And that's where we get heavy things. So anything heavier than like iron came from an exploding star. So all the gold that's in your teeth and on your watch and in your safe deposit box, those all came from supernova explosions, right? So we know that our own planetary system, our own star system, we formed long after the first explosions that happened with those big stars, because like 5% of our entire solar system is made up of things heavier than iron. So we are the product of those giant explosions. Now, when a planet is in like the perfect spot in the solar system, so it's just like a little warm and not too cold, and it's got a good like ratio of nighttime and daytime, and liquid water on surface, and plate tectonics, all sorts of great groovy stuff. And when like the quiet period after the formation of that planetary system, when you got comets and asteroids and planets smashing into each other, has calmed down, you can have apparently something just come alive. Just a random group of amino acids suddenly go, you know what? I am a single cell organism. Well, let's eat stuff. How it happens, we don't know. But after billions of years, right? Like 3 billion years, all of a sudden, that single cell organism can become multiple-celled organisms. And then all of a sudden, they have all these drivers. They're trying to out-compete each other for food, or try to like not be food themselves. They develop teeth and scales and eyes and lungs and weird digestive tracts, and they find like little beaks, and they develop all these weird things. And eventually, out of that slime comes humans. You got big brains, you got sharp teeth, you got big forward-facing eyes, we have opposable thumbs. We can manipulate objects. We can make tools. We can cook our food. We can do all sorts of crazy things that none of these other assholes out there can do. And you know what we can do? We can make podcasts, live stream podcasts on the internet where people ask us questions over and over and over, and we just keep answering them. That right there, we're at the pinnacle of evolution, folks. This is exactly what our slime grandpas from billions of years ago were dreaming of with their single neuron as they're like, amino acid. Right? That's where we are. So, Ace Ventura, hope that worked out for you there, and it sticks. In that big cabeza, your slime grandfather's got you. Case Chapman, super chat, certificate of no objection to streamlined adversary cases was filed. I don't know what that means. Is that the cases against the board at BBBY? Is that the adversary cases, or is that the ones of the claims of creditors to the BBY board? I don't know. Sure, I'll have to read something and then I'll know exactly what the words all mean. Sample Incorporated, if oil prices spike, U.S. economy is doomed because no one will be able to buy gas. Also any news on No Labs trying to get to 333,333 shares before FDA approval. That's a good chunk of shares, man. I have a feeling gas prices are going to tank because when the economy goes down, oil drops with it significantly. So I don't think gas prices are going to go up. I think we're going to see demand start to falter as people, unemployment rises. People have less need to drive places. They start ordering less things, which means trucking and shipping are using up less fuel. So I have a feeling that the gas prices are going to go down. Hey, Ross was saying $50 a gallon. That puts us at like $2, $2.25 a gallon for. Sure, $50 a barrel, sorry. That takes like $2.25 a gallon. That's, not too shabby. And No Labs, I have no idea when they're going to file. I think it's going to be sometime in the fall. I don't think Ron will tell us. He'll just probably do it and then be like, we did it. Yeah. A GameStop bounced off $18 today. Finished around 20. Might be time to load up on some GameStop calls. I bought some right at open. I bought some puts for the SPY. Sold them. I doubled my money. I could have like quintupled it if I just held on another 30 minutes. But whatever. I might be looking at GameStop calls for about 2 months out right now. And to get a lot of those, because the implied volatility is really far down there. Everyone's focusing on SPY puts and VIX calls and all those things that it might be the cheap way of getting in. I really wish I had bought my SPY puts Friday. Oh, but I got paid yesterday, or paid today, so I couldn't do them Friday. Because, man, would have been up like, 1,000% at one point? Okay. Where am I? What am I doing? What's happening? Oh, I need to scroll up. That's what needs to happen. Read super chats, got distracted. And GDC was first. And Andrew Dow was first to like. GDC Plan Man versus HBC 16B Bratia PND Plan Man versus RC 16B. September 30th, Plan Man's claim objection bar date. Anything else holding up BBBY? There is that one pro se case, but I don't think anyone's going to pay attention to it. Do you guys think of anything else? I cannot. Those seem like the big cases that need to kind of go, get out of the way. Adam Davey, Houston. I'm worried about No Labs. Why would they try to show their tech can identify normal hypoglycemic sugar levels unless that's all they can do? That's what it's supposed to do. That's literally the point of the technology, is to identify blood glucose levels, and so for diabetics, so that they know if and when they're supposed to take an injection of insulin or get some sugar in their system. That's point of the technology? Feels like backtracking to me. Do you agree? No, that's the entire point of their system. Their technology can do all sorts of things, but the first thing to come to market is going to be the blood glucose monitor, because that's going to be where the moneymaker is. It will fund all sorts of research and development for them to use it for, national security, identifying minerals, all sorts of things in health, identifying viruses and bacteria and cancers and stuff for people's bodies. The big moneymaker is going to be getting insurance money for subscription, monthly subscription for all the diabetics everywhere. And from there, they can use that pile of cash to expand into other regions to use their technology. Adam David, wish they revealed how close the numbers were, like how often they called somebody hypoglycemic when they were euglycemic, only 1 point or 2. Well, basically the numbers showed that they nailed it 93.7% of the time, 93.37% of the time, which is better than any other invasive monitor out there. To get FDA approval, you have to have 95% of the time be within 20% of the actual blood sugar levels. And if you have a continuously monitoring device that can monitor you 100 times in a minute, 1,000 times in a minute, right? And you're nailing it 93.7% of the time, it's going to give you one hell of a baseline for that tech. It seems to be a pretty darn good system to have. Because then you can just sort of eliminate the outliers and be like, okay, those are outliers, so those are not following the trend line at all. And people will know when to, give themselves some sugar. Jiminius, Houston. Everything in the stock market was burning today, and I felt pretty zen. Weird place to be from freaking out at every red candle 4 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. If you're like, oh, world's on fire. Snort alert, Houston. Did you get your SPY puts for 510 for tomorrow? And if so, how many did you get? Greens from Germany. I got 4 of them. I was hoping to get way more, but the prices went way higher this morning than they were at close on Friday. It dropped 20 points over the weekend in 24-hour market trading. So yeah, that will do it. But I bought 4 of them. I doubled my money, sold them, and now I'm waiting to see what I'll do with them next, which will probably be GameStop calls for about 2 months out. So, Vernok. Funny how brokers and market makers can't handle traffic when it's time to liquidate. Yep. Pretty interesting that maybe the SEC should stress test them for when events like this happen, because there's 4 times as many people trading actively on the market now than there was in the crash in 08-09. So they should probably figure out how to handle us. 4ZZ9, happy birthday, Houston. What's your thoughts on the downturn? Is it going to get hotter or just fizzle out? Well, I think it's going to drop more. Maybe not too much more, and there's probably more to go with figuring out the Japanese yen carryovers. But the next big phase is going to be the collapse of the AI bubble, which I think we're seeing with NVIDIA right now and Intel and others. That for the most part, identifying patterns, AI is great at that. Doing other things, AI just kind of makes things up. It's just a big liar. So we'll see kind of where the tech goes from here. And then probably by fall, we'll start to see banks actually begin to write off and write down their commercial real estate problems. So there's $1 trillion or $2 in commercial real estate bonds that are worthless. And I mean, we can visit. Want to visit 10X again? Let's visit 10X again and see what's happening there. Okay. Whoops, you guys can't see what I'm doing because I don't have that part turned on. Turn Chrome. Come on. Come on. Boom, boom. There we go. All right, so what we got with 10X? Let's view all properties, shall we? Or not view anything? Oh, here we go. Sorry, I scrolled down too far somehow. Okay. There might be a couple that were still on here last time we saw, but we're looking at, this is a pretty big office building here. We got apartment buildings coming up. Another big office building. Downtown LA assemblage opportunity. Let's see what this, downtown LA, $4 million. Okay. 41,000 square feet. Strategic downtown Los Angeles location, approximate LA Live, Crypto.com Arena, Los Angeles Convention Center, Dignity Health Hospital. Okay. Transit oriented. What we got here? Please present opportunity to acquire via online auction Flower Street assemblage in the heart of vibrant downtown Los Angeles, California, located near LA Live. Did that part already? 38,000 square feet of land, and those addresses. So this looks like it's pretty much land. So we got 4 large plots in downtown LA, $4 million bucks. Not too shabby. What else we got here? More hotels and inns, airport type hotels. Then you get Hilton for $3 million bucks. Looks like a housing development in Shreveport. No towers in here so far. Lots of strip malls. Strip mall, apartment, another hotel. Here we go. Baltimore. Here we go. Office lender owned. 268,000 square feet downtown Baltimore. Starting bid's $2 million bucks. And it starts next week. So I assume this guy right here. You want to own a big chunk of downtown Baltimore for $2 million? Okay. What else we got? Got more, man, these like airport type roadside hotels and motels are just so many. Okay. Apartments. Any more towers? Towers are the sexy ones. Those are the ones I like to see pop up on here. Get a big old building in Chicago, $1.6 million. What? 23,000 square feet, storefront retail office. This must be all this stuff on the bottom. I assume these must be condos up top. 90 parking spaces. Word. What else we got here? Maybe towers on the second page. Come on, give me more towers. Downtown Minneapolis high-rise office condo, $600,000. It's just a condo. 56,000 square feet. We're a 2-level office condo acquisition. So this must be a building that's about an acre, half acre in size, and you get 2 floors of this sucker for $600,000. Damn. U.S. Bank Stadium. Well, heck. All right. Some cheap stuff coming here. Got a Middletown, Ohio. Got some bank building there. Anything else sexy? It's a giant business park building in Memphis. Casey, you want to buy that one? Vacant multifamily redevelopment opportunity in Dallas, Texas. Well, Dallas, Texas real estate has fallen hard. Well, it's a million billion degrees. So we got a row house in Washington, D.C., 6 units. We got another hotel in St. Paul. Ooh, a restaurant in Key West. Here we go. A possible liquor license opportunity, see document. So we got some sort of outdoor restaurant in Key West that gets blown away every 5 years by a hurricane. Cool. Like $400,000. Live music venue in Greensboro, North Carolina. Man. Look at these sexy beasts everywhere. Ooh, Daytona Beach, Florida. You want a weird circle tower? It's a hotel. 25,000 square feet. Or is it this guy? Not circle tower. Is it that guy and not that guy? It's on a boardwalk. You can go out there, have spring breakers absolutely destroy everything once a year. And I think that wraps it up. So only a couple of towers this time around. My guess is in the fall, we'll start to see them show up so that they can do the write downs at the end of the year. See a lot more coming in here. But, oh, I forgot to do the drawings. That's what I should do. I should do the drawings. I got everything in here. I got all the names in here. Boom. Come on. Boom. All right, copy that. Go to random name picker. We paste all those in there. Okay. So we're drawing 3 of them, right? Because we raised $2,000. We raised like $21.48, I think, for First Nations Development Institute. Fantastic job. I've got all the names in here. I misspelled Peachy Sunday into PC Sunday, apparently. I wonder how many other names I misspelled. 3 auction items. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 things left. Let's do the first one. Ready? Bam. Who's getting it? No whammies. Crayon green. This one's going to Canada. Oh, where's my pen? There it is. Crayon green. Let's see what number Crayon green's getting. What's this? This is number 2. Crayon green gets number 2. I have no idea what that is. Let's go over here and hunt for number 2. Number 2, the little guy. Ooh. The little guy. I don't know what this is. Maybe it's like rectangular. Feels like it might be in a plastic case. Maybe like a USB thingy. Like a USB key or something. Pen, thumb drive. It's very small. Doesn't weigh very much. Crayon green number 2. Word. Okay. Remove name from list. Boop. And let's pick number 2. Moonwad. Moonwad came in there with a donation during the recorded show. And Moonwad, write down Moonwad here. Moonwad, you get number, well, where are the papers? There we go. This one is, Moonwad gets number 17. Ooh, what's 17 gonna be? Ooh, it's a big one. It's a big soft one. Oh. This might be clothing. It's kind of big, soft. All right, what is that? What do you think that is? Feels like pants or like a sweatshirt or something. Maybe a jacket. Something soft. Moonwad gets something soft in number 17. Let's put number 17 down there. I still need to send everything off from last month. So we're going to do a gigantic shipping moment this week as I get rid of everything. Okay, take Moonwad's name off the list. And our last one, who's it going to be? Bam. It is Ludicrous Speed. Ludicrous Speed. And Ludicrous Speed. Monkey. What's it going to be? It's going to be this one right here. This is number 15. Number 15 for Ludicrous Speed. Number 15. What's number 15? Ooh, 15's a big one too. Also soft. I mean, we might be doing a fashion show with these ones here. Go back to, okay, this is also big and soft. What do you think it is, Monkey? What does it smell like? It smells like, that feels like a button of some kind, maybe. That feels like one of those like paper inserts they put into like a shirt. So this might be, it's fluffy. So, I don't know, probably like a Snuggie. Now there's too much stuff in the way I can't see my screen. So, Crayon Green, Moonwad, Ludicrous Speed, send me your details, we'll do the unboxing, and we'll figure out what you're getting, right? Ooh, it's so exciting. And if you see in the corner, over here. See right there, that's a big old box from Michael Mystery. It's giveaways for our 500th show, which is coming up in 2 days. I'm not sure how I'm going to be doing the giveaways on the 500 show. I have to figure that out, brainstorm how we're going to like give them away, raffle them off, auction them off, whatever. But yeah, I've not opened the box. I haven't opened the box. I have no idea what's in there. He said that they're wrapped and they have numbers associated with them. And then if I want to, there is a key. I can figure out what's in them, or I can just refuse to look at it and we just give them away as whatever they are. I don't know. So we'll do something for 500 show as well. Looks like I'm just shipping stuff all over the world, monkey. So at least one of these is going to Canada. All right, I need to put these ones down here so I can see my screen. Big fluffy ones go down, right, monkeys? Oh, you're such a sweet little dog. Yes, you are. Okay. Look at those little eyeballs poking up. Look at the little nose. All right. All right. What was I doing? I was answering questions. Where were we? We were like an hour behind already. I'm like 5 questions in. Okay. Casey Chapman, can you give me the rundown on Shapiro and Walz? Who would you prefer? Walz. Shapiro's all right, but the baggage he brings, I think, is a little bigger than what Walz would bring. Well, I don't think Walz brings baggage. I think Walz just brings positive attributes. The highest ranked enlisted person to ever serve Congress. He served in a very red district for, 14 years. He's been governor for 6 years, a very successful governor. He's been a high school state football coach champion, which plays well in the South for sure. And he does a really good job in explaining how government can work for you and make your life better, right? Like, we got this huge purchasing power of the U.S. government. We have this ability to use this as a tool to improve people's lives. He does a really great job doing that. So Shapiro, on the other hand, I don't think he's a bad dude, but I do think he's made some iffy choices that could come back and burn him. For one, as a prosecutor, he refused to prosecute his buddies who committed crimes. He's got history of that. He's been pretty poor at reform, like jail reform, and he's got some anti-Palestine, pro-Israel stances that might play well with certain demographics and really poorly with others that I think can be exploited rather big. I would just go with Walz because people like listening to him talk. They feel like he's just a cuddle bear and someone who's going to look out for them. And I prefer Walz. I prefer Walz and Bashir probably over the rest of the field, mainly because of their pro-union practices. We haven't seen quite as dramatic a pro-union stance from others. And Shapiro's kind of avoided being pro-union, which, if you're in a giant industrial state, like, be pro-union, dude. So I go with Walz. I don't know who she's picking. People were saying it's going to be Shapiro because she was going to make the announcement in Pennsylvania, but now it might be a kind of yeah. Chikashukla, keep my eye on the bargain. Yes, Chikashukla is going to be purchasing ye old spot here, so that's his way of doing that. So thank you, Jigish. We'll get your form up here. So just send me something that prints out well in black and white, so I can do some laser printer, and I'll stick it right up there, and we'll be ready to go. Where am I? What's going on? Did that one. GDC is around escorting us into World War III. Maybe. I don't see Iran lasting very long, if that's what they do. So last time around, when they launched a whole bunch of drones and missiles to Israel, they kind of telegraphed, we are launching a whole bunch of missiles and drones now. which gave, they were slow, and they gave ample time for the U.S. and Israel to shoot them all down, right? This time around, they're like, we'll launch from whatever. And we're going to might be fighter jets, it might be bombers, it might be ICBMs. We might have, Hamas launch a gajillion missiles and Hezbollah launch a gajillion missiles, and your Iron Dome will be able to handle the onslaught. It seemed a little more serious this time. They also said if the U.S. shoots anything down, that they will attack U.S. bases in the region, which will basically seal their fate. A couple F-35s from a carrier strike group could wipe out Iran in a matter of hours, and I don't think that their 50-plus-year-old tech survives. I mean, they're out there with like their Soviet S-300 anti-aircraft systems, which get defeated with $50 drones all the time. I don't think they quite realize just like what they're up against, or maybe they do, and they're like, we're gonna go out in a Viking glory or something, Berserker style. Yeah, just doesn't seem to be quite so smart. I mean, the U.S. can easily wipe any society off the face of the map in a matter of hours if they want to. It's the whole like, okay, we don't want to kill everyone. We'll like help you get a new transition in government. Those are the problems that the U.S. has, is when it comes to like the efforts to like reshape a society. Not very good at that. But like killing everyone, really good at that. So don't put the U.S. in a position where they're going to go, all right, we're just going to turn into a parking lot, because they will. And they can do it so easily and so quickly. It'd be mind-blowing. Like, the Russians are so scared of the updated F-16s that the Ukrainians have that they're now threatening to attack NATO bases that potentially have those F-16s. That's how scared they are of that technology. This is, when did the F-16 come out? Like 1976 or something? Let's look that up really quick. F-16. General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon. 1974. So it's 50 years old. It was first flight. Its first military flight was 1978. They updated it in 93. They updated it in 95. They did all sorts of updates recently. Let's see here. Production. 2013, they did another update. All right, so it has been getting updated year over year over year over year. So, I mean, for a 50-year-old jet, it's still pretty badass, and the Russians are terrified of them. So, oops. Yeah. So, that should give you an idea. Now, there are some F-16s, I think, that Iran has. I don't think they've had parts for them since 1988, and this is 1980. So, I'm not sure if they actually fly or not. So, they're probably going to be using MiGs or something. Hi, monkey. Old MiGs at that. They're not getting, like, Su-28s or anything like that. Come on, monks. Come on. Emtra, speculation station. Who was right regarding NVIDIA? While insiders sold at peak prices, Congress traders, led by Nancy Pelosi, scooped up shares and calls. Yeah. This dropped a lot. It was, what 130? And today it was around 94 or something. So it's lost a big chunk of its market cap in the last month. I don't know. Did Nancy Pelosi finally mess up? Right? That seems to be... Because normally she's the greatest trader of our generation. She doesn't mess up like that. So I'm wondering what she knows, because they've now getting investigated for antitrust violations, investigated for perhaps financial fraud, investigated for insider dealings. Like, these are FTC and DOJ investigations that generally they don't lose. So, Nancy, Did you finally miss one? I mean, not everyone bats 1,000 all the time, but maybe she'll pull one out in the end, and we will be like, holy smokes, Nancy, we did not see that coming, and you won. Brandon Wells is here. GDC. In lighter news, the 2024 Apple Cup, sponsored by airplane manufacturer Boeing, is only being streamed on Peacock, not broadcast on real TV. To quote Diaper Dawn, sad. Yes, the battle between the University of Washington Huskies and the Washington State University Cougars. I have no idea if anyone's watching, because the Cougars I think still are members of the Pac-10 with Oregon State. And I don't know who the Huskies going with. Are they going like Big 10 or something, which is now like Big 50? Funny story. So the Pac-10, right? Collection of 10 Pacific Coast schools, made a lot of money. Hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And that hundreds of millions of dollars was inside the Pac-10 coffers that would get distributed here and there. When the schools announced that they were pulling out of the Pac-10, 8 schools were like, we're going to leave, right? All because, basically because Colorado screwed up the TV deal for everyone, and they weren't going to make as much money anymore. They're like, so all these schools pulled out. Oregon State and Washington State are like, oh, no, we'll stay. And because other schools pulled out, they no longer have access to any of that money. And Washington State and Oregon State now have like $800 million or something to play with, because the other schools abandoned it. And other schools are like, wait, no. And so far the courts have ruled like, no, you left. It's Pac-10 money, and you're not a member of the Pac-10 anymore. You don't get it. So, I guess we're going to see some fancy new stadiums at both those schools. Attaining oneness. It was just announced that Google is a monopoly in courtesy for its search engine business practice. Yes, so its search engine and its ads platform, they basically create a monopoly. The judge was like, no qualms about it, you're a monopoly. I don't know what the judgment is going to be and how they're going to have to break up that monopoly. Whether they're going to have to remove ads from the search engine itself, which is what makes Google their money, is the fact that they sell ads for search results, and that makes them like hundreds of billions in revenue a year that they then use for everything else, which doesn't make them any money. So Google's going to have a real come to Jesus on that one. But hey, everything should be getting broken up right now. This is a great opportunity to break up everything. Break up the media conglomerates, break up the like defense contractors, break up the internet companies, the .coms, just break them all up into 1,000 pieces again, and let's start over. Just break it all up. Right, dude? I'll break you up. Just like you broke up that bunny. Yeah, so Saturday evening, around 7 o'clock or so, 7:30, Monkey Butt and I go into the driveway. We're going to hop in the car, head to my mom's house, go visit her for a bit, and Monkey just takes off. And she runs around the house, and then she turns around and runs back around the house, and then she turns around and runs back around the house, and the third time she comes back, Batman is in the driveway. He splits. He's like, I'm out of here. He runs into the garage for safety, and this little bunny rabbit comes roaring across the driveway and tries to jump over this rhododendron, and Monkey comes up behind it and snatches it out of midair and just... And that was it. Bunny done. Monkey Butt is the happiest thing in the world. She's like, great, I got dinner. I'm going to eat this thing now. I'm like, oh, we don't have time, Monkey. We have to head out of here, go to Mom's house. We're just going to leave it there. She's like, what, you son of a bitch? I just caught this thing. I'm going to eat it. I'm like, no, we're not eating it right now. We come back and eat it later, whatever, if it's still here. So I get her in the car, go to my mom's house, hang out, do a puzzle, watch the Olympics, and come back at like midnight. So it's been 5 hours or so. And there's this rigor mortis little bunny there. And Monkey's like, yes, let me eat this thing now. I'm like, no, we're not going to eat it now. Take you inside. So take her inside. And I go out in the woods with my light on my phone, and I just chuck this thing into like the biggest pile of sticker bushes way out there. I come back in. I'm like, all right, bunny's gone. Just frisbee this rigor mortis thing into the big old pile of sticker bushes out in the middle of the forest. And Monkey will forget about it. Yesterday, I usually like just kind of let her out. Open the back door, and she just goes out and sits in the sunshine, and I go take a shower or whatever, and I take my shower in front of the sink, and there's a window that overlooks the backyard there, and I hear this jingle, 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 jingle. I look, and there's the happiest dog in the world prancing around with a big rigor mortis bunny rabbit in her mouth. I'm like, crap. And by the time I get out there, half that rabbit is gone. There's just the hind legs left. And like the butt and hind leg, she's like eating the crunch. You can hear her crunching all the bones. It's just, she's having the time of her life. And we have to leave again because last night we went to my dad's house for dinner. So I'm like, hey, to leave the bunny for a while. We're going to the dad's house. We're going to go have some salmon because it's delicious. We hang out there. We come back, and the bunny is gone. The back half of the bunny, nowhere to be found. Some creature slithered out of the woods, was like, free food, took off the half bunny, and Monkey spent all night searching for that bunny everywhere. She went everywhere. I could not get her inside. You know, it's like 1 a.m, and she still is just like snurfing. You can hear her off in the forest just sniffing and kicking things over and looking for it. So almost the second half of the bunny, and she is no longer happy dog. She's now a bummed puppy. She's a bummer, right, Monkey? Someone stole your bunny. You got half of it, so you ate like the brains and the eyeballs and stuff. So I guess that's more power to you. So yeah. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Houston's an hour behind, going on stories about bunnies. Thomas Dubois, Houston, Monkey Butt, and McDizzle. Gorgeous day in our Pacific Northwest. It is gorgeous. And you know what? It was nice and cool this morning. So it's only 77 degrees in here. So I could do the show in the office. It was like 90 something yesterday. It was not pleasant in here at all. Victor M. Houston. Is the market crash finally here, and are we closer to our MOAS? Or do you think they will keep the U.S. market artificially alive? GM with cash on hand could invest now. Very smart. I think they'll try. I think the Fed right now is spending a lot of money to keep a couple of Japanese banks afloat, because if they go down, they bring everything down with them. So I don't know if we're throwing good money after bad on this one. It might just be a black hole that they're just making it rain into, hoping to stave off the inevitable. But no, I think things are going to get worse. They've managed to like keep things afloat for longer than I expected. But commercial real estate is doomed. Airbnb bubble is popping. Unemployment rates are rising. Right? Banks have no cash. You can tell by the fact how much drawdown there's been in the reverse repo facility. Banks run out of cash and need it desperately. And then we've got this weird Japanese carryovers, the yen carryovers, that seems to be a unique doom cycle that's going to kick everything off. I think that's what the U.S. regulators are waiting for, was to wait for it to be someone else's fault. And we can now go, rather than be like, oh, we did a terrible job with funding our commercial real estate for a long time. Instead we go, it's Japan's fault. See over there, Japan did it. It's all them. Let's blame them. Look what they did. And so that will be a way for regulators to step back and be like, look, we can't control what Japan does. It's Japan. So I think they're going to use that as a thing. And then because Asian markets altogether were slumping, they can now be like, well, it's Japan and Taiwan and China and Thailand and India. It's Asia. It's Asian contagion. So that's what they did in 97. They blamed everything on Asia, even though also like the Swedes and stuff went down during that time as well. Attaining oneness, we need to form a lobby group to keep Chair Lena Khan in charge of FTC for as long as possible through MOAS. Fucking love Chair Khan. Lena Khan is the most significant bureaucrat I think we've had in government in at least a generation. She is amazing at her job. And she really philosophically gives zero fucks. Previous FTC chairs were A, not ineffectual, and B, quite dangerous for the U.S. consumer. They were scared to go after, to sue for antitrust violations for big companies, being like, oh, it's just, they got such rich lawyers, I don't know how we can afford this. And Lena Khan's like, don't care. We're suing them anyway. And you know what? She is winning. Not only is she winning, she's getting settlements out of these groups. She's getting concessions out of them. She's getting fines out of them. She is really crushing it. And we need a lot more of this. We really, in the last 30 years, had way too much consolidation of industry in the United States. And we passed a lot of laws that allowed for that to happen. And we really need to, start passing laws to constrict the massive mergers we've been having and to maintain competition. And B, we need to do what Lena Khan's doing and break these fuckers apart. And I think one of the things we need to do is revoke the 1996 Telecommunications Act. Rip it apart, make everybody go back to the previous laws, and break up the big media monopolies we have. And we can start getting local newspapers back. Have you noticed you don't have local coverage of anything anymore? Because all your local papers were bought up by conglomerates and basically destroyed. Your local papers lasted 100 years. They're making money. They're doing their thing. They're fine. And then the conglomerate comes along, buys them up, and just wipes them off the face of the earth. And so we have tens of thousands of communities in the United States who have no access to local news information, which means they don't know what's going on in their city councils. They don't know what's going on in like the parks departments or schools, because there's no one to report on it anymore, because they got rid of everybody. And this is a large part of what happened with the 1996 Telecommunications Act that got passed, allowing these large corporations to take control of all these things. But before, it was not allowed in any way, shape, or form. You were limited to owning like 8 newspapers across the country, 8 television stations across the country, 8 radio stations across the country. So as big as these companies could get was basically 8 local markets, period. You could not own more than, like, if you had a television station in one market, you couldn't own more than one radio station in that same market. If you had a newspaper in a market, you couldn't also own a TV station in that market. So they really like made it hard for information monopolies to form. And again, I think it was the worst thing Bill Clinton did was signing the 1996 Telecommunications Act. That was your biggest crime, Bill, as a politician. And you sealed your own fate and the fate of your fellow citizens with that by allowing, folks like the Murdochs and Sinclair Broadcasting and Fisher Broadcasting and Clear Channel to just take up so much of our information space and control what it is we get in return. So, Bill, that was terrible. You should come out against it now, so that we can get a push in Congress to revoke the 1996 Telecommunications Act. What else? Corporate Walnut, when is the part where we make money again? Well, if you're getting calls on the VIX, you're probably doing all right now. It is almost tripled. I think the VIX has tripled in the last week. So it seems to be going. Puts on the SPY did all right today. If you bought puts last week, you've made thousands of dollars at this point off each one of those things. So it's doing all right. C. Jefferson 3, yes, the Hughes man. I prove how there's no delay. You just get right to the business. Oh, I love how there's no delay. Well, that's what we got to do. I'm still not even to the start of the show yet. I am an hour in. I have not gotten there. Tanny, when did you catch the British punks bashing on Nazis in the UK? Brought a tear to my eye. Yeah, so if you guys don't know, these protests have been happening where English Defense League, which are a pro-Nazi organization, they're Nazis, they're white supremacists, they're straight up 100% like swastika, tattooed, skinhead Nazi pieces of crap. They're doing these protests where they're basically attacking immigrants in broad daylight, burning down their businesses, trapping them in a hotel they set on fire, right? Like blocking the doors, set a building on fire and block the doors so people can escape. So straight up attempted murder. And the punks showed up and started just cracking skulls the way it should be. That's what you gotta do with Nazis. You can't reason with them. You can't relate to them. You just gotta bash their skulls until they go back under the rock they crawled out of and stay there for the next 30 years until they've got the balls to come out again and experience getting their skulls bashed again. You cannot reason with Nazis. You just can't. You can only crack their skulls. So, way to go, punks. Way to go. The language being used in the British press is really really biased. They'd be like, Antifa protester squares up against Antifa member squares up against a protester. Like, no, it's a punk squaring up against a Nazi who, may or may not have just like attempted to murder people and burn down an immigrant business and etc. So yeah, things are going nuts in Sheffield. The police have basically been nowhere to be found. But what I think the British police are doing is they've got like cameras everywhere. The only nation that has probably more cameras looking at the population is China. So basically they look at all these guys who are too stupid to cover their faces, and they look at what cars they're getting into and where they're going on the metro lines to get dropped off at their houses, and they show up the next day and arrest them. So I guess that's one way to do it. But in the meantime, like, people's lives are being affected and their homes and businesses are burning to the ground. And yeah, so other people are like, well, it's probably the cops are doing the protesting. But it is what it is. Gotta bash those Nazis. It's a factory. I'm now convinced the only solution to this rot is jail time for them after the display today. I agree. But they will only get jail time if they lost rich people money. Rich people, I think, have been dumping like crazy. Berkshire Hathaway has been selling like everything they have to have cash on hand for when this thing goes tits up. So pay attention to what Buffett's doing, because he is just like, I'm going to hold on to my cash and we're going to wait. And everything's going to shit the bed, and then we'll scoop up and buy it all up at a deal. And then we'll triple the value that they have. They'll become $1 trillion holdings company. It'll be insane. GDC, 2 more shorts till 500. Did you record that thing for Alexander? I recorded that thing for Alexander. Don't worry, it's in there. Juice Miami, Jenna Ellis flipping is going to destroy a lot of people. Oh yeah. So Jenna Ellis in Arizona. So Jenna Ellis is one of Trump's attorneys for the fake elector scheme. She was charged with fraud crimes in Arizona. They did not charge Trump. They charged everyone around Trump and named Trump as a co-conspirator. Sorry, President A, or whatever they call them, presidential candidate 1, whatever they call him, to like leave his name out of there. Wink. She essentially pled guilty and agreed not to be and for immunity, and will turn on everybody for states as state's evidence. So that means they're going after Trump. I mean, she spilled the beans on Trump, and he will probably be charged in Arizona here soon. So that's one of the things that's happening. Interesting, right, Monkey? You don't care. All you care about is the fact that you don't have your bunny butt anymore. That's all right. There's more bunny butts out there. There's like 6 of them in the yards every single evening at around twilight. Yeah. So Jenna Ellis turning on them. She's got the dirt. Not only she has the dirt, she probably has the notes. Like, these are all the crimes we're going to commit, and I filed them in a folder, and they've been seized by the Arizona Attorney General, and now everyone's going down. Lucre Speed, reverse repo is the lowest it's been in 3 years. They are pulling their money out because they need it so desperately. Sir Bar, their shills online be saying there's no recession coming, trying to squeeze the last dollar out of the market. Oh yeah, I mean, did you see Jim Cramer like shilling for Nvidia for the last month? Be like, Nvidia's the best. You gotta invest in Nvidia. While the insiders were selling like billions of dollars of Nvidia. Yeah, that's them at work, man. That's them at work. Michael Harrow, Houston, are you timing MOAS to hit when show 500 comes? Yeah, that's my plan all along. I am that good at a Rube Goldberg machine to make that happen. G. Jefferson 3, I don't get it. The whole system crashes and they just turn to Ken Griffin and say, go to jail? They could. Ken Griffin is he's been spending a lot of time and money loading up on things that are very hard to seize. Homes, because of the way Florida law is set up, dinosaur thingies, real estate. I think that's why he moved everything to Florida, was because he's like, I'm in front of this giant fraud scheme, and if I want to maintain any semblance of luxury after when this is over, I'm going to need to have like $1 billion in real estate to be able to maintain my lifestyle. And that seems to be what he's going for hard. MOAS for your ass. Can we just MOAS already? Please. Joseph Lee, what happens if I don't turn on airplane mode when the plane is in the air? Nothing. Now, there are beacons that run at the exact same, like 2.4 gigahertz frequency as your cell phone. Supposedly, those things can mess things up, but like your 2.4 gigahertz cell phone doesn't mess up someone else's 2.4 gigahertz cell phone, so I'm not really sure if that is really the case. I think the case really is to keep passengers from murdering other passengers, which is someone wouldn't shut up and they're on their phone the entire flight, so I killed them. And so the best way to make sure that people don't get murdered by their co-passengers is to limit their ability to make phone calls. That's why they give you Wi-Fi and stuff, and you can like surf the internet the entire time you're flying or watching shows, but they don't want you like talking really loud on the phone because it's really loud. I can't quite hear you because the jet's freaking loud. And then the person next to you just puts a plastic fork in your neck, and that's it. Each Sunday. When is a good time to buy GME calls, Houston? Probably now. Let's look at these GME calls. GME options chain. Okay, I'm looking at some timeouts. Maybe like September 20th, maybe October. And I'm looking probably, $5 out. So $200 gets you a call option for end of September, which is 6-7 weeks out. That seems to be pretty reasonable price right now. You can go for lotto tickets, are really cheap. They only go to $50 on that date. On the 13th, which might be the monthlies. Those go higher. No, those don't go higher. What about the October 18th monthlies? Oh, the October 18th monthlies go higher. So these lotto tickets, you can get up to 125s on there. But even then, you look $5 up, you're paying $260. For 30s, you're paying under $200. Which is like we're at $30 2 weeks ago, right? So we can easily start approaching this stuff again. This is probably the zone I'm looking at for getting my calls right in here. Because if it rises slowly, each one of those things will be worth maybe double in price, right? If it rises really quickly, the implied volatility goes to the roof, and these things can easily become $600-700 at $30. And then you're looking at, it reaches 40 again, then you're looking at a couple $1,000s off that. So that's kind of the region I'm looking at the moment. I don't know if things are going to pop off this week for it, although we did drop to 18 earlier, so we were here, and those 18ers went up in value if you bought them in the morning. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Snert alert, yen is kind of the USDT of the real world. Yeah, it depegged, didn't it? The yen depegged from the dollar. Piloted Moon. Hey, Houston. Thomas D, Houston, Monkey, and crew. Counterfeit shares everywhere, securities sold, not yet purchased equals RICO. I agree. I think Andrew Left is the tip of the iceberg for the RICO train. They've got him connected to Anson and to Hindenburg. And I think from those guys, if they can get those guys attached on a RICO charge, then Anson and others can get them to the other hedge funds who get them to the market makers, and it just goes from there. So putting the screws to Andrew Left is going to be a big, big deal. And he's got, he's got an unsecured bond of $5 million. They took his passport so he can't flee the country because they considered him a flight risk. He needs one hell of a security detail right now, because if he does end up pleading guilty and turning state's evidence, he brings down some very significant billionaires who get their money from really scary billionaires. We're talking drug dealers, warlords, mafia, right? The folks that you don't want to mess with their money because they'll just straight up kill you because they're in another country. What do they care? So Andrew has to make sure if he does turn state's evidence that they get him into witness protection and hidden because they're going to kill him. I don't think he survives that. These folks are mafioso, and they do mafia tactics, and they, if they're going down, they're going to take you down with them, right? So it is a stepping stone to getting everybody else. I mean, we saw it happen in the cases against Trump, these RICO cases. As you put the screws to lower underlings, they plead guilty, turn state's evidence, and they implicate someone higher like Trump, right? That's how you get them. You strangle this guy until he goes, oh, please, and then he'll point fingers and give evidence for the crimes above them. And those are the folks you really want to take down. So it seems to be a picture-perfect play by the feds on this one. Undisputed, what's your view on GME massive recovery today? The GME graph was interesting because the GME graph mirrored the SPY graph and mirrored the Bitcoin graph. They were very, very similar today. Go back. Come on, go back. Go back. Yeah, it did. It was down, did a boink, and then a steady climb almost back up to mean again. Bitcoin did the same thing. The Bitcoin graph, the GME graph. Upstart had the same pattern. Who else had that pattern? AMC had that pattern. Finger Aider, GNS, Citigroup, the big banks had it. Goldman Sachs, Bank of America had that same pattern. Walmart, Alibaba. So they all kind of went near boing and then back up again. And that matched BTC, all the Bitcoins, all the cryptos, and the SPY kind of did that as well. Not as big, but very similar. Yeah. It's weird because the VIX and the SPY had almost the same graph. That's very weird. Aren't you guys supposed to be inverse from each other? Why are your graphs doing the exact same thing? I need water. That's fine. You haven't done water, I think, for an hour. Confusing just came in from picking blackberries. Had several scrapes and wounds, and so ready to relax and hear your thoughts on GME. I was picking blackberries yesterday. I have some scrapes and wounds as well. Only a few of them are ripe. They're about to get really ripe here in the next couple of weeks. Victor M. How do you predict it will work out for us in the next week's month? Does your crystal ball see what will happen? Greetings from Berlin. I think there's more comeuppance to come between the yen carryovers and the rest of the market. If that bleeds into a massive sell-off of tech and AI stocks, which it very well might, that can keep it going. And if that keeps going into the fall, when we see construction really start to slow down and the banks starting to realize their losses on these commercial real estate properties, then I think it just keeps going. If along the way somewhere the Fed is able to somehow stop this, I'd be very curious what is they're going to be doing to do that. They may reduce interest rates to spur investment. I don't know if it's going to be enough to do that. Or it might be a sign like, oh, we're fucked. This is us being desperate. But there was talk that they'd intervene this week to lower interest rates rather than waiting for the regular date in September to do so. But if they intervene to lower interest rates, then it's, I think, them basically saying, yeah, everyone's fucked. These banks are screwed. Everyone's screwed. So if the margin calls are hitting and hitting hard, which they may have been happening today, then we might see weird stuff happen over the next couple of days as either liquidations happen, as they dump more Bitcoin to raise cash. Because remember, you can't use Bitcoin as collateral anymore for margin. So you might have a whole bunch of Bitcoin on hand and you just dump it. Sell off every piece of it you can have so you get that cash, and you can use cash as collateral. So how exactly it's going to work out, don't quite know. But something along those lines, I think. I think we're seeing that canary in the coal mine again with crypto. GDC went Elmo in jail for election interference. Yeah, that's also another thing. So Elon made a are you registered to vote program for Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And you'd click on it and you enter your address. If you entered your address and you were in a battleground state and it appears from your Twitter history that you are going to be voting Democratic, they would never submit your entry for registration to vote. They would just keep your data and use it and sell that data. If it looked like you're going to be a Republican voter, they would amazingly register you to vote in those battleground states. So basically, Elon committed giant election fraud, and now attorney generals from Michigan are now investigating him for criminal interference in the election. This is bad stuff. This is stuff that Cambridge Analytica did, but Cambridge Analytica was based in the UK and not in the United States, so being able to investigate what the info gathering they were doing was a little more difficult, and really couldn't do much criminally with that. But yeah, Elon may have just screwed himself over big time with that. Just, hey, let me help you get registered to vote. Actually, I'm not registering you at all. I'm just stealing your data. Fuck you. That's basically what Elon's scheme was. Like, stop. You're worth $200 billion. Stop doing schemes, you clown. Like, you don't need to do schemes when you're worth $200 billion. You don't need to do anything when you're worth $200 billion. You can just coast. Like, I don't know what the big deal is and why so desperately you want to commit these little crimes when you don't have to. You made it. You are the richest person ever. Cool. Chill out. Get a hobby. Swim in a pool. I don't know. Take up mountain biking. Knit. Fly in a private jet and go see the world and visit cool locations. I just don't understand the need of these sociopathic billionaire assholes to just really step in it. Be like, all right, now I've got $18 billion. I know what I'm going to do with that. Crime. You made your money. You made some legit money. You don't need to do the crimes now, unless you're just so bored that crime is the only thing that keeps you just feeling alive or something. It's weird. Yeah. Ace Ventura's just baby making extra steps. That's the universe, man. That's the universe being explained. Check Clifford Houston, isn't it convenient again? Multiple brokers went dark today. Why? Because it was convenient. That's why. That's exactly why. Just made me someone put Ace in timeout for that question. Okay. All right, we got 16 minutes to go. Eric, I don't think we have enough time to explain the entirety of the universe. When Jimmy Moon? Oh, I explained it. When Jimmy Moon? Hopefully in the next 7 weeks, 8 weeks. And I'm off. When BTC dumps, who the hell is buying it up? No one. That's why it's dumping. I do wonder who the buyer is on the other end. My guess is it's probably ETFs buying up more and consolidating even more. Maybe folks like El Salvador taking on another 20% loan to buy up more Bitcoin at that point. But man, Bitcoin was at 69,000 last Monday, and it went under 50 last night. Now it's at 50. It's at 50 something today, isn't it? BTC, where are you? BTC's at 54. So yeah, it dropped briefly under 50, 49,678 at about 6 a.m. my time. And then bounced back up again. So it was at its peak. It was at 69,806 last Monday. Yeah. So we lost 20,000 off of that, and it bounced up a little bit. So we lost 20,000, and it rose 10%. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's up 10%." So, if you're swing trading it, I guess you're doing all right. Oh, there's a reset of the chat. Caught that one. I did that one to make sure I got my super chats in here. Okay, got those. Okay. All right. Chris Taylor, Houston, what's the story with the 2 astronauts stuck in space? Are they going to make it home? They'll make it home. The question is, will they do it on Starliner? Starliner is the little capsule from Boeing that was apparently built with, I don't know, gum and straws. The live cam footage of Starliner at launch, that an image that showed like the astronauts and their console, and you could see that the console itself was cracked where screws had been put in. They've been put in, like, so they're like breaking the thing before it's even launched. It also famously had the door pop off of it as it was being transported. It seems to be a janky piece of shit. I think it's a module. It's a module inside of it that has some sort of error for the thruster system, meaning if they were try to get into it and leave, they might not be able to guide themselves into the atmosphere properly and could just burn up. That's, I think, the big fear. So it's got enough battery life apparently to last through October until they can figure out all the issues with it. If not, then they're gonna have to send something else up there to bring them down. I think there's an emergency Soyuz capsule, but I don't know if the Russians want everyone using the Soyuz capsule because, war and crap like that. So yeah, that seems to be the big problem, is that Boeing has become a garbage company and can't do anything right. So yeah, there you go. We'll see if they send something else up there, SpaceX capsule or something. Confusing. Did you notice the thumbnail from Roaring Kitty's live stream depicts a Japanese stock market in turmoil? Isn't that curious? You must have seen this coming. Maybe that's the flames. Everything's flaming, so now we're going to look for the explosion. Maybe, and then cheers. So we might be really close right now. Platinum, think there are any fossils on Mars? I'm thinking that there are. They would be almost trilobite-like creatures. Fun thought, though. There might be single-celled organism fossils. We might have microscopic fossils of, bacteria-like life, amoeba-type life, things like that. Yeah. People saying claims. So when Case Chapman was talking about the streamlining the whatchamajigger process, that's what they're referring to. Okay, here's the claims. All right. Adam Davey, F you to my previous chat. Fucked up my previous chat. No labs. They should be able to give a sugar number, but just say whether it is low, normal, high. I think they can give a more specific glucose number, I'm not sure if they put that data into the reports or not. Because the entire point is they measure parts per million, and that's what the little device does. Is it sends in a radio frequency, it reflects back at the harmonic frequency of those sugar molecules, and will give you your blood glucose reading as parts per million. So, if you're high, it'll be this number of parts per million. If you're low, it'll be this number. If you're where you should be, etc. I don't know if in their data they released, if they released those specific numbers or not. I have not looked into that. Eric, after you lose everything in your stocks for 3 years, it's easy to be calm during a crash. Exactly. Just like first time. Eric, if one or two of the heavily shorted stocks squeeze big, then the crash would get way worse than most experts are saying now. Oh, definitely. Yeah, they will crash so hard. Oh, you know what I need to do before we go? I need to check and see if I got messages regarding shipping addresses for people. Do I have messages? Boom. Okay, not there. Let's see if there's any on ye old Reddit. Boom. Any messages there? No messages there. So no addresses yet from Cran Green, Moonwad, or Ludicrous Speed. So you guys send me your addresses. We can do the unboxing. Word? Word. Peachy Sunday. I shall be beachy someday, Houston. Eric, since I did not win, this contest is rigged. Super Cove says, Kamala crash, baby. I mean, she's not in charge of people investing money in Japan or borrowing money in Japan and then playing the U.S. market and trying to get the arbitrage off of that, which is extremely risky. That seems to be more of an international problem. Vernock. Read somewhere today that OPEC has cut back on oil production as much as they did back in 08-09. Well, and the U.S. is producing more than ever. So they're going to have to cut back on production if they want to keep prices somewhat reasonable, because the price is what? 3 straight weeks the price is going down. Let's look at the oil prices. Let's look at oil prices. Oil prices. Crude oil prices today. So we're down to Brent crude 76. So Louisiana Bonnie Light OPEC basket's at 78. So we're below 80 pretty much everything except for Bonnie Light. And natural gas is also pretty low right now. Gasoline is wholesaling at $2.36, which is like $3 cheaper than here in Washington. We've got a lot of taxes on our gasoline in Washington. Let's look at what oil futures are doing here. Oil futures are at 73. So, let's do 1 month. Yeah. So it was pretty steady downtrend here. 1 year. We aren't quite as low almost as low as we were in June of last year. So we had a big old climb back up to 80 something and back down again. All right. So, sorry, that was June earlier. Okay. Not last year. That was this previous June. So our lowest low has been at 69. Come on, give me that thing. 69.60, and that was in December. And looks like the trend might be trying to push down that far. Like Hey Ross was saying, $50. We'll see. I wouldn't doubt it though if the market is crashing as hard as it is. 3 ports down, break up banks. Yes. Break them. Sir Barther, Google is objectively horrible at making money on projects outside of its core services. You could do a whole show on abandonware. Oh, yeah. Like, I appreciate the really cool R&D Google has invested in using their monopolistic cash flow from their search and advertising. But yeah, their abandonware is insane. They come up with these cool projects and like, well, there we go. And then they just forget it and move on. And silly things like there used to be a little app you could get for your computer. So if you had a computer, go ding, you have Gmail. You go, oh, sweet. You click on the little corner thing. They just abandoned that. Like, what? I'm at my desk. Ding, your Gmail got an email address. Like, oh, okay. Like, why would you abandon something as simple as that? Yeah, it's not going to make you money, but you know what we'll do? Let me know when I have an email. That's pretty awesome. Kevin, Robinhood just announced no overnight trading. Yeah, they stopped overnight trading last night as things in Japan were just. The SPY hit 508, down from, remember, closed on Friday like 532. It was down to 508, so it was down $25, $24 in overnight trading. And they went, and then it slowly somehow crept back up again after they did that. I guess if you can't trade it, you can't sell it. So. Kevin, I watched that Lena Khan vid. She seems like a badass. She is a total badass. And she's been like singularly focused on breaking up these monopolies since she was a teenager. It's like her autistic obsession, right? Yeah, some people are really into trains and like, I don't know, Pokemon. She was like, break up monopolies. And I'm here for it. Confidence Homer was hard to get into failure by SQQQ. Finally got in by 28 shares. I think the folks with the VIX options, oh man, the VIX options, the $22 VIX options were 70 cents on Friday, and now they're like $3. Up 4.5x, and the price really didn't do much different. And then I'm off. Will a market crash have any effect on BBBY? No. Well, I would be curious if market crash happens and all the hedge funds get liquidated before BBBY trades again. What happens to the liability of those shares? Like, where do they end up if the shares come back, right? Let's say market crash happens. One of the other meme stocks goes pew, and you look at liquidations of all these family funds and hedge funds, and they just don't exist anymore because they're basically bankrupt. And the liabilities may or may not have been closed, but then the prime brokers get those liabilities right, and they go, oh, they're like where Credit Suisse was, 2 years ago. And then BBY comes back, and all of a sudden, these big giant prime brokers go, fuck, because they just lost their shirts on everything else when the margin calls happened. So I don't think it will directly have an impact on how BBBY operates, but it may have an impact on what happens to prime brokers depending on the timeline if it comes back. That's the best answer I could probably give for that. If that works. Don C. Shadem, are you teaching this fall? Some of us would pay top dollar for a crowd-funded geology or astronomy class from you. I've not been asked to teach. Normally when I teach at Edmonds in the past, it's been the winter and spring terms and not the fall, because another guy teaches the other astronomy course in the fall. But I have not really bothered to see if other schools need anyone. Like the other college near me, Olympic College, or one of the colleges in Seattle. I guess I could look and do that. Yeah. When I'm not doing this, I just go walk the dog. That's what I've been doing walk the dog, go to Jiffy Mart, get an ice cream bar, eat that and walk home. That's kind of how my summer goes. And then like eat blackberries and plums and stuff along the way. And I just forage all summer long. Green-eyed band elixir, green-eyed band elixir. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania have voted together the last 30 years in presidential elections. Well, if they pick walls, the Minnesota goes for sure. I think it would anyway. The poll numbers coming out, we're getting the poll numbers out from various states. The ones to look for, I think, are Emerson. Emerson is the most accurate polling service. Emerson college polling. All right, so these guys got the polling within 0.5%, and they absolutely nailed it. So if we go national, their most recent national one was the 9th. They usually come out around after the first week of the month, so we don't know the national one. If we do their state polling, New Hampshire, Harris is way up. I don't know if they released... this is just after Harris announced in Pennsylvania. Not Pennsylvania, Arizona, sorry. And then these other ones are pre-announcement. So they don't track, like they were with Biden. Biden just isn't running anymore. So we have to wait for the Emerson polling to come out, I think. If we go to like 538 presidential polls, huge differences here, and a lot of these depend upon if it's just a binary candidate field or if they list like RFK Jr. and what's her butt with the Green Party, and those are there. But the recent ones come out. We got Harrison Service USA, Morning Consult, TIPP Insights, Harris, Morning Consult, Harris. YouGov, Harris. Some of these are states. Maybe the general election. General election. It looks like Harris on the general election is gaining on those things, but we have to look at states. Where are the states? Give me more. Give me more states. All right. On my phone, it just shows the states. I don't know how they organize this thing on the. Never look at it. Show more polls. What we got here? Okay. So Georgia, one has Harris ahead, one has Trump ahead. So that's split. That looks pretty even there. Pennsylvania, Harris ahead, Trump ahead. Again, kind of even. Arizona, Trump ahead. General election. Okay, those are older general election ones. Who cares? And then we get to a whole bunch from here from a week ago, and shows Harris, Trump on American Pulse, Trump on ActiveVote, McLaughlin Associates gets Trump as well. It seems pretty darn even for most of these ones from about a week ago, and then the tide starts to turn, it looks like, as we get into closer into the first week of August. So my guess is picking Vance and having Vance be labeled as a couch fucker and the whole like their weird thing seems to be playing. Seems to be working pretty well at the moment. And Harris still has to pick her running mate and do her convention. Oh crap! I get going. Yeah, my roommate's like, you need to leave. All right, everybody. I don't know if we'll do a show tomorrow. If things really hit the fan tomorrow, we might do a show. It'll bring us one step closer to show 500. If not, then I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Yeah. So enjoy your time. Have a great day, and I'll click this one. Wink. All right. Okay, folks. Peace out.